It's always so awkward where I have to make this decision.
Okay. We are now recording, and I say welcome everybody. This is Christine Citrano. I am your 2020 state president, and very happy to be here with you all and happy to see you this morning. And I am beyond thrilled to be presenting to us one of my favorite Women's Council people. Many of you know her. So Sam Powell, she is out of Chicago. And if no one knows her by the end of today, by the end of this session, you will absolutely love her. So you
got responsibilities.
That's right. So keep it good, Sam. So just a little quick bio. Sam is with the Pride Homes Chicago team out of Chicago, Illinois, obviously. She is the Women's Council of Realtors Illinois State Governor for 2020. She was the Illinois State President in 2016 for Women's Council. And she is also a National Women's Council of Realtors Leadership Faculty member. Welcome to Florida, Sam.
Hey, it's beautiful in sunny Florida. Thanks for having me.
It's rainy here, but I'll take that.
Ah, nice, nice. Oops, I don't know what it did. Hold on. Good job, Sam Powell. Did I select the right screen? I don't know if I did. Don't mind me over here.
I'm sorry, isn't this a tech tips
webinar? It is.
Okay.
And I had selected the right screen, but you can't see what I've got going on over here, but it basically effectively is 3 monitors. And so making sure that I set it up in a way that makes sense to me.
Got it.
And I've had to rearrange my setup over here because my new monitor doesn't have a camera. So I'm working off a laptop so that I can see you guys, and then my display for my presentation. All right, so it's a lot of content, so I definitely want to jump right into it for you guys. Well, that's interesting. This is the way it's choosing to do it. So if you see me looking off screen, it's only because that's the only way I can see all of you guys and your awesomeness, and I can see my presentation on this side. Okay. All right, so let's get into this. I introduced myself just a little bit through the slide presentation as well. Because sometimes I find myself in rooms where you don't know me from Adam. So it's a way for me to introduce a little bit more about layers of myself. I will say this, it's, and I shared this with Christine, that it's a little bit odd being a presenter on a Zoom call because I don't get to hear you. And depending on how the setup is, I don't get to see you a whole lot either because you're to my left now. So I can see my presentation, but I like to be able to look at you as if I'm talking to you. So what I like to request is, it's a chock full of content, so it would be really hard for you to pause me to ask a question. So I would absolutely love to field your questions. So our ask is, if you have a question, throw it in the chat. It's possible I'll address it organically. And if I don't, at the end, we're going to open it up for some question and answers. And also, just as a caveat, you always have access to me. So don't hesitate to reach out with follow-up questions. If you want a copy of this presentation, it is recorded, so you can obviously go back to it and review it. But if you'd like just the slides as a PDF document, I'm more than willing to share those as well. So that being said, let's get started. I have been with Women's Council since 2011, 2010 as a member, and then started in some leadership in 2011. Honored enough to be the president of Chicago in 2014, the state for 2016, and am enjoying this role as governor, as the last governor, before it transitions to state liaison. So here's my contact info. Don't feel that you have to document anything, because at one point during this experience together, you'll have an opportunity to interact with me and actually capture my contact info right into your contact management system, should you so choose to engage in that way. What we're going to spend time talking about today is touching, right? The good kind, I like to say. And in a large audience, I also am used to getting to see you and your body language and your interactions. Like, I'm the heckler in the class. I'll be the first one to admit that. So I like to say, if you're going to burp, sneeze, or fart, feel free to unmute yourself so that I know that there are real human beings out there. I can only laugh at myself because I don't get to see you and your responses and reactions. So if you need to unmute yourself to interact in any way, please don't hesitate, because I'll feel more like a human being over here. because here's my fear: at some point during one of these Zoom conversations, everything's going to freeze and I'm going to have no idea, and I'm just going to talk for an hour and a half to absolutely no one because the technology has frozen. That's the fear that I've had for a while that hasn't come to fruition yet. I'd also ask in a large room a little bit about you guys, meaning years of experience. I love getting a sense of who's in the room with us. I know you guys quite a bit, but I just know that I interact a little bit differently this way. Not the way I wanted that to come out, but I'm not going to open it up and ask you guys how long you've been in the business. What we're going to do is get through this content, and then when we have the question and answer segment, let's learn a little bit more about each other. And I'd love for us to share ideas and concepts with each other. Like if you get a nice takeaway from today's class, I'd love for you to share at the end something that you're looking to implement, or something that you're going to change in the way that you're doing your business and staying in touch with your consumers through the use of social media. Just how your engagement might change. I love introducing parts of my family. So there's me and my youngest puppy dog, Turing, and her sister, Codis. And I keep teasing that at one point, Jen will make a slide, but she still hasn't made the slide deck yet, but she's in the condo. So she says hi from afar. One of the things that I love about our industry in particular, and the technologies that we have available and in front of us in our hands, the portability of a laptop, the robustness of a tablet, is the ability for you to pretty much, frankly, work from anywhere in the country. Right now, you're working a lot from your own home, but imagine being able to do what you're doing today and take that to a restaurant, take that to someone's pool. And those are, in fact, laptops on the side of the pool in that photo, where the four of us will put our laptops on towels, walk over to them, bang out a little bit of work, and then come back and hang out in the pool. It works best if you have no children that enter the pool because of the splashing. So as long as it's adult doing adulting behavior, it works out pretty nicely. But I love the power and flexibility of being able to set up shop, set up my office, set up and run my company from anywhere in the world, as long as I can tap into some kind of Wi-Fi. One of the things that I encourage us all to do is to be our own backup plan, to have a plan B for just about everything. So as an example, I have a couple of laptops so that if something happens to one, I've got a secondary one. The secondary one is connected to my monitor at home at all times. So I can walk up to my desk and knock out something. I can grab my bag and walk out of the condo, and I've got everything that I need for the full day in my bag. I right now have access to 3 Wi-Fis as an example. So my building has Wi-Fi. I have my own Sprint Wi-Fi on my phone, and I have a Verizon separate hotspot in the event that I'm somewhere in the world or country that Sprint service is not so good, that I at least have a plan B. And my plan C tends to be like if I'm at a Starbucks tapping into their Wi-Fi. One of the things that I think is really kind of great from a branding perspective is your first nugget is your Wi-Fi. You can change the name of it, as you might have seen other Wi-Fi names when you're looking to tap into a Wi-Fi. And I change all of my Wi-Fi so it reads askforsam.com/realtor. So anyone who's looking for Wi-Fi somewhere, wherever I might be stationed, can see that there's a realtor in the room. And anyone who knows me from a branding perspective, my laptops are branded, my phone is branded. I'm wearing a branded shirt right now today. So that if you see that there's a realtor in the room, then you can see me working from my laptop, and now you found the realtor whose Wi-Fi advertised that I'm here, available, come have conversation with me and dialogue. And I find that to be pretty powerful. One of my favorite stories to share is, like, I fancy myself a rather memorable person, and that served me incredibly well in this industry, in people remembering me from an experience, peers around the country, building great relationships with you guys. Like I never thought like, oh my gosh, I'm going to grow up to be like a memorable person. But what I'm saying is it's helped me a lot in my real estate career and industry. And at the same time, there's a huge lesson in this as an experience too. So I had a client many years ago now who bought a condo in the city of Chicago, and then fast forward, say 5 years, she wants to then resell it. Well, here I think, she's obviously going to reach out to me and I'll have an opportunity. She does. And as I list her place, she shares with me this story about how she couldn't find me. She didn't know how to find me. She couldn't remember my last name. So since I brand everything Ask for Sam, lesson number one, if you're going to choose a brand name that allows people to find, like, include your first name and last name would be kind of my advice in a way. Because here's what happened. They remembered the company I was working for at the time. They called that company and said, hey, I don't know if, we work with this kid. Her name was Sam, short for Samantha, and we can't find her. Does she still work for your company? And they had the super amazing, like, Zappos quality experience with the receptionist. The receptionist says, I know we have no Samanthas working for our organization, but I am happy to, let me pull up the multiple listing service and let me look up all the Samanthas, and I'll read the last names. And if one of these resonates, let me know. So when they got down to P, they're like, Powell, they're like, yep, that's her. And I got to work with them again. So the lesson is two things. One, I knew right away that I had not stayed in contact with my past client in a meaningful way. And I've been really bad about that in my entire career, right? 18 years now. And so my lesson to you is learn from my mistakes and do better. And the other thing I encourage is, and this is why I built this presentation, is I had to find my own way, my own path in what were going to be meaningful ways for me to stay in touch with people that I was willing to do, that didn't feel fake, that didn't feel like it was a requirement and that's why I was doing it, that I wanted to do it in a way that felt more meaningful. I also have built in a couple of commercial breaks, and if we were live, this is what we would do right now. So just pretend it so that you can experience this the way I would want you to, is don't call me right now. But if we were in a live room, whoever rang my phone first that I picked up a live call with, I would give away a gift card to that person in the room. And the lesson here in this little commercial nugget is this reminder to be present. This reminder to consider putting your phone on Do Not Disturb, to consider putting, clearing your space so that you can be focused and visit with us today. One of the things that I've learned about humanity, as we all have, is how disingenuine we are when we're in spaces together, how we're not fully present. I try to keep my phone on Do Not Disturb nearly 100% of the time. I use alarms quite a bit to remind me to be places and go places. I have people that say, yeah, but Sam, someone in my family is really sick, and so I want to make sure that I get their message. And my workaround for you is you can absolutely still be completely Do Not Disturb on your technology, fully present where you are. And you can have, like a number of my best buddies around the country, they have special vibration tones that are unique to them that I've set up. And it's set up to bypass all of the Do Not Disturb settings. So you can have your husband, your wife, your kids in this special sort of bypass mode so that they can always reach out to you if you need them, and you can be focused and present in the task that you're choosing to do. So I will often say, I'm going to make every effort to not take another live phone call while I'm up here presenting for you today. Is it too much of me to ask that you do the same, right? So thanks for joining me. And I often challenge people during the presentation to put their phone on Do Not Disturb and experience it for just a quick minute, for an hour, hour and a half. Because what I find is your muscle memory alone, you miss nothing, because you can't help yourself but to look at the device from time to time because we're so wired to do it. So I challenge you to experience that at some point this week, next week. Give yourself a full day of Do Not Disturb on your phone and watch what happens to you. Like, self-evaluate how that experience is. I'm passionately in love with it because I can be more laser focused on the tasks I need to get done. And then in between, I'll check on it and bang on emails and texts, etc. But I can be present and I can, function at a higher level by being on Do Not Disturb. Oh, and here's the commercial. So I see now that you did not see this slide when I meant for you to see the slide. So that's pretty funny. So this is the slide that would have been on the big screen behind me. I apologize. And whoever called me first would win a gift card, and I would walk through that little speech right there for you. Okay, let's get to work. So I know what platforms we are generally using out there. I like to share that my most favorite platform is still Facebook. I was an early adopter in 2007 to it, and I find that I am most comfortable in that environment and in that space. And I want to share with all of you that there is no wrong answer. There is no wrong way to run your business if you're running your business at a successful level that is meaningful to you. So there may be a nugget or three that you take out of the class today. If you get nothing out of this class today, I'd love to hear that from you. And I'd love to then also learn from you, because you're probably doing some things that I would serve well by learning and understanding them too, right? So we're going to talk quite a bit about Facebook. Well, before we get into that, I've got there's basically 10 segments that I'm going to go through, and they're built heavy in this way that the first handful take the longest to get through, and then they sort of trickle faster. So if we're on like slide 6 and we have like 10 minutes left, it's built that way on purpose. So don't fret it. You're not going to be here all afternoon. So the company that I work for, I hang my license with a company called Dreamtown, and then I have my team, my Pride Home Chicago team with Dreamtown. One of the most amazing things that Dreamtown has done, and I share this in every presentation I possibly can, is every year we run a contest. The owner runs a contest, and it's a big win. It's a $10,000 grand prize win, and then a couple of lower prizes. Here's the takeaway for all of us in the room, though. We can all run our own contests. He's so wise in how he chooses to build it that in order to submit a photo or a video to the contest, you write off all the rights to the image, meaning we as Dreamtown can then use that image however we want, wherever we want. We have full rights to it. So imagine, if you will, you're a broker owner and you're opening a new office and you'd love some art on the wall. What about this idea of running a contest, a photo contest within that community, where people can submit, a photograph within that neighborhood community environment, and then you amass this beautiful collection of amazing pieces that you can then have printed, framed, put up on your wall, and it be from your community, about your community. As an individual broker, same sort of concept, right? So if you're running solo or running on a team, what a beautiful way to align with a affiliate in a way, right? Like a lender, a home inspector, somebody, and have you guys together put in money so that there's a pool for the winners. And if you have a niche market, for an example, I'm willy-nilly all over the place. So I would be like, Chicago, as, send me photos of Chicago. But let's say in Florida, there's a neighborhood that you focus on, run a contest specific to that neighborhood, and then use all of those images in your branding, in your listings about the neighborhood. So then you could be like, here's the house, and then here are some photos from within that community. What an awesome way to just add to your arsenal and images and inventory with complete royalty rights to use them. Oh, and the other thing I want to say about that one is, so this past year, every year the contest changes a little bit. Usually it's like scenic shots from around the city. Last year he did that whole BU campaign you might have seen, and the concept was, have someone take a photo or take a selfie and show us, your authentic selves in your authentic environment. And as an example, in the ads, it would be like 2 women in business suits sitting in a kiddie pool with water, drinking a glass of wine, right? So it's like, there's no rules. Be yourself, whatever being yourself looks like. So the winner of the $10,000 prize, I choose not to show the photo because I like to describe it live on stage. So I like to say, imagine, if you would, me, Sam, with a very hairy chest, okay? Now that I've planted that seed and you can't unsee that, now imagine that I've had someone shave me in a particular way that all they've left is this really amazing mustache shaved into my chest. That's right. That guy won $10,000. How pretty cool, sweet is that, right? So however you do the prizes is, I just like to plant the seed and let you run with it. You can easily do a Google search for like contest and contest rules. So you're not reinventing the wheel, and please don't reinvent the wheel. There are probably third-party companies that you can align with to run a contest. I haven't looked into it, but I'm sure it's out there. And I'm sure it's out there similar to if you wanted to host a 5K, that there are for sure companies that you align yourself with who do all of the magic behind the scenes in organizing that 5K. So let's also talk about other things that we can do, because of course, if you run a contest, you're going to be putting that all over your social media, right? You're going to be engaging with your past clients, with customers that you're building rapport with, your peers around the country. And I wouldn't limit the contest to particular people just because I would want the content, and I would want it to be a very public experience for those who want it to engage. We also run these bus ads, buses and benches. I tend to not pay for them, meaning we internally sometimes can win opportunities to get on a bus or a bench. But it's a really worthy, even if I had to pay for it, I would, because of what we're able to do with it. So for example, our marketing department will create these advertisements for us so that I can then, through social media, encourage people, if they see my bus, take a photo, put it on their social media, tag me in it, and then I send them a gift card or invite them to lunch so we can have a face-to-face. What a nice opportunity to rekindle a relationship, to ask for referrals, to ask what you can do for that person. And so I love this idea, because once they tag you in their post, you are now in their feed as well, right? So it's an organic and authentic way to generate opportunities for yourself. So the image on the left, I like to share because it's one of my favorite stories in this respect. So I ran a contest, and it was a money raiser for it's years ago now, so I don't have the details anymore, but I wanted to raise money for a cause, and I wanted to be clever about it. So what I'm wearing underneath that parental advisory is a wrestling onesie from my high school. So imagine, if you will, Sam looking like a sausage behind the parental advisory. Now, no one got to actually experience that, because the way I ran the contest to raise money for the cause was, I'm going to lower this sign periodically if we don't raise X amount within X amount of time. And I have to tell you, best contest ever, because we raised the money. I lowered it one time, the tiniest bit. We had raised all the money because no one wanted to see any more of me. And as sad as that may sound, I didn't mind either. So another bus ad on the right-hand side, as they vary over time. My current new bench ad, same thing. We run a campaign, and it's a bit like Where's Waldo? Amazing Race, because I won't tell anyone where the benches are. They have to actually go and find them, and they're only in communities where the bench became available. So as soon as a bench becomes available and it's a neighborhood that I'm like, yeah, cool, then I pull the trigger so that it's there. And then I actually have only visited one of my benches one time for a photo. And I just love the interaction that comes with people either happening upon it and remembering there's a contest, or they went and intentionally went to seek it out because there was a contest. And then again, of course, we show up in each other's feeds, and it's been pretty powerful. One of the things that I like to do for my peers particularly, and my clients, is my giveaway closing gift is a branded, in this case, currently it's a branded flask. It's 750 milliliters. It's put out by Cutco, the knife company that a lot of us in our industry have a relationship with. I love this product from them. What I will tell you is the next product that I'm having branded, I'm not doing through Cutco, through no fault of their own, but there are so many companies that offer different vessels and different etching kind of opportunities that I really just want to branch out and explore. But I encourage, as a thank you, right? So if Christine sends me a lead here in Chicago, I'm going to send her a, self-branded thank you as a little piece of gratitude. And I do it immediately, because it's not about whether the referral turns into something. It's a huge thank you and support and reminder to Christine to please send further referrals my way as well, right? I also offer 30% on referrals to all of my peers. And I do that because it's worth it to me. And I like to encourage the repeat behavior when I do a really good job, so that, I don't know people that are giving more than 30%, except unless it's a relocation company, where I find some of those we're paying out 35, 40, and 45% sometimes. So I just like to make it attractive. So if you have any leads for Chicago, if it's a good fit for me, please don't hesitate. If you don't feel like that person and I are going to get along, please don't send them my way. But absolutely know that you can tap into me for anyone in Illinois. I'm happy to be that middleman, that connector for a karma currency, for making the right connection for the personality you're looking for in a realtor for that client. Make sense? Can't see your faces, but it's all good. So here's a sample of some of the swag that I've received from my peers across the country. And one of the things that I like to do is give me a reason to do a post, right? So I like to, generally speaking, almost daily, do some kind of gratitude post with one of my peers' swags from around the country, tag them, thank them, play in that space with them. Just another way to be out there and remind people that you're in business, that you come from a place of gratitude, and that it gives you a reason or a purpose to post something meaningful in a way, right? So we've got another commercial break. And this one, I like to take us a little bit off topic for this reason, because I'm super passionate about it. The Women's Council of Realtors, what I meant to say was our National Association of Realtors, obviously need some more coffee. I have in my career experienced where a listing may have been accessed and my seller might have been home, but the agent hadn't made it to the property yet. One of the things that I like to share is how I sort of handle and manage this in conversation, and share with you a tool that you can use on your phone, right? So if you find yourself typing the same text message more than once, you know, periodically through a transaction or in your career, consider creating this key command shortcut, this keyboard shortcut on your phone. I have one that reads exactly like this, right? So it says, you as a peer, my realtor buddy, you must attend your showings, all of your showings, stay there with your client through the entire duration of your showing, that it is a standard of practice that we're going to uphold you to. And the way that I do this is a couple of ways. On the screen before you is, if you have an Apple product, I can easily walk you through how to do this. If you have another product, Google can easily walk you through this. But for example, in my settings under keyboards, there is this text replacement. And so I have simply copied and pasted from the website this standard of practice, and I created a shortcut called #ethics. And I have another one called #offers, because I find I use those often enough that if you reached out to me and said, hey, Sam, I want to show your 123 Maple Street Thursday at 3, I'm going to, after we approve your showing, I'm going to give you access instructions. And then I am absolutely going to also share with you this reminder, this gentle reminder in our industry to be the professional that you've joined the industry to be, right? I've taken it a step further also, and I encourage anyone who's interested in doing this to join me. On my listings, in the agent remarks, it actually says standard of practice, that entire standard of practice, and it also tells them how they're going to access the property. When they schedule the showing, I use Showing Time here in Illinois, and not only does it tell you where the lockbox is, how to access the lockbox, if there's an alarm, it also, again, reminds you of your obligation in the standard of practice for our code of ethics. The other one I have is about offers. I get asked often, and maybe you do too, hey, do you have any offers on this property already? And I immediately send them the standard of practice that states that by law, legally, ethically, I cannot respond to your question, that I need to go to my owners first, get their blessing, and can only share with you what they've given me and granted me permission to share. So I just like this as a little nugget about making our industry better, reminding our peers to stay on top of their game, do it in a relatively gentle way by just regurgitating language that they would have already had through their ethics training. And I find my peers are super responsive to it. Like, no one thinks I'm being a jerk doing this. They're just like, yep, got it, hear you loud and clear. And on the offers one, it's #offers for me. I find if you're using a text replacement, to be super mindful that you try not to use a word that you find yourself typing. So for example, I thought I was going to be clever and use WCR and then have all the various WCR hashtags that I like to use. I'll tell you, I type WCR so often that it would put the whole string of hashtags in there, and it would drive me nuts. So my solution has been to put a hashtag in front of the ones that I use, and it's made all the difference because I'm not often texting hashtag something in a conversation with someone. So just a little commercial break takeaway. Let's talk about videos for just a little bit. As confident as you may experience me, I am still a big chicken when it comes to doing videos. I'm still working through that in my own personal way. So know that if you're working through that too, that we're kindred spirits. You're perfectly normal. There's nothing wrong with you. And I am hoping that through this pandemic, through our experience of sitting in front of our computers much more than we have been, seeing ourselves on Zoom calls, and remind me to ask this question at the end, is I'd love to hear if you're having a similar experience that I am. Like as I'm in Zoom classes with others and I'm not the instructor, I'm seeing the engagement of everyone else in the room, right? I can see what you're doing. I love the anthropological study of seeing your space where you chose to set up and join us in the Zoom call. But more importantly, what I'm finding is I'm getting much more comfortable seeing myself in what feels like a live video, right? Even though I'm not talking, I'm just in the room as a student like yourself. I find myself getting more and more comfortable seeing me interact, seeing me talk, that I've actually done more videos since we've been in this pandemic than before. And I think that that's a layer of it that's making me more comfortable, right? And people often say, oh, I hate the way I look. I hate the way I sound. I do too, trust me. I mean, I don't hate the way I look, face it. But I do on a video, you know, you're your own worst critic. So I find I never rewatch them. I will never rewatch this one. It will never be perfect, and that's totally okay. I enjoy doing live Facebook because it has a beginning, it has an end. The bloopers are built in. That kind of works for me. I'm not upset about it. And I don't have to be perfect, right? I'm not trying to be scripted. I'm not trying to have a post-production, someone make it amazing and awesome and fantastic. Just be yourself, right? This is how you look. This is how you sound. People do adore and appreciate you when you're live. So let's face it, when you're on a video, it's very similar. So I'm not going to play these videos because it just eats into the time a little bit, but I describe them enough to be dangerous. And I like to give you some tips and tricks for how I got into doing videos without having to be live in them, right? So for example, my team, before we branded ourselves Pride Home Chicago, I was just, you know, asked for Sam, and I had a couple of people that worked for me. So we would create introduction videos of me and our team. And it's not us being live. So it's not me saying, hey, I'm Sam, and this is my business partner, Christina, or this is my, you know, business partner, Joe and Scott. What we do instead is take tons of cool photos that we've amassed through social media. And in this video is photos of me and my team doing real estate stuff, doing human being stuff. There's a couple of photos in there of me and business partners over time, enjoying a beer, enjoying adult beverage with the cute little mustache, which ties right into that contest with the guy's chest. So just brought that back for your memory there. You're welcome. And so you can create videos pretty simply without being live on them. And that's sort of the tip of this slide. There are also many solutions for building videos. Most of our computers come with a software package that allows you to do it right there. I don't find that to be super intuitive. It's also not my wheelhouse. It's not where I think I should be spending my time building videos. And so I hire that off. I have an agent on my team who loves to build them. So I pay him $75 per video to build them for me individually and for our team when we choose to do them as a team. So every year, here's a sample of 2008. Every year we'll create a video that's a gratitude video, thanking everyone who helped us have a successful year. And so in this one, imagine, if you will, similar to a Star Wars video where the introduction is sort of this angle of text coming across a screen. We will have the addresses of every property we bought, sold, rented, helped a client with through that year, and then images behind it flashing up that are, you know, interiors of the property, some of the nicest images that are from the properties that we've helped clients with. Super simple way to do it. Also interspersed in there are some of the same images that would have been used to introduce our team. And the software that my buddy uses, I'm happy to share. It's actually in one of the last slides, so you'll see it. It comes with these theme ideas. So I'll go to him and say, hey, listen, for February, let's do something that's, you know, we love you, we appreciate you, we're here for you, how can we be of service? And so he finds one that is, you know, super loving and lots of red that works well in the theme of Valentine's Day. I encourage this concept of creating a video a month. And some of them are super organic and easy to wrap your mind around. So for example, February, right, for Valentine's Day. March, as a beer drinker, I'm a huge fan of St. Patrick's Day, and we do things with like green beer on purpose. We always try to come from a place of gratitude, appreciation, for whomever is going to see the video, and also put in some kind of call to action to encourage them to reach out to you for some reason or other. What a great way to launch any contest, right? As an example too. And what a great way to update contests, to be able to show, here's a handful of images that have come in. Here's the deadline for submission, blah, 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 blah. Just planting some seeds for how you can use videos without having to be live in them, or perhaps be live in them. And here's my first cheat in getting yourself more and more comfortable being on video, live video. Do it with a buddy. Harder to do in quarantine, but possible, and we'll talk about that. But early on, what I started to do was for birthdays, because, oh my gosh, how fun. What a great way to be playful. What a great way to just be your authentic, you know, silly self. And both of the women in the video here with me are Women's Council members, and the person we're singing happy birthday to is a Women's Council member. But you can do this for anyone, clients, peers, siblings, your partner, anyone and everyone, is do a live Facebook video, sing them happy birthday. I of course am cutting up through the video. They have no idea what I'm going to say while they're singing happy birthday. And so I might, you know, I'll just be a goof in it, as you can only imagine. So I encourage that. And it allows you to just start to get a little more comfortable being in front of the camera. I also encourage, absolutely highly, if you're asked to do an interview, please say yes. What a great way to get some additional exposure for yourself. What a great way for, you know, clients, peers, everyone to learn a little bit more about you, to see you in action, to hear your stories. So Sylvia does her ripple effect interviews that she's been doing for some time now. I madly love that she's doing those. And I love that she's showing us a way. She's showing us a way that we can be doing these for ourselves. So imagine, if you will, something like whatever your talent might be. So let's say for me, it's selling, you know, luxury properties in a specific neighborhood in the city of Chicago. So maybe I come on a live Facebook video with my go-to lender, and we have a conversation, and maybe I'm sharing, hey, in this neighborhood, here's what's happening. Here's the most recent data that we've been able to collect from our multiple listing service. So I might have on my computer while I'm doing live, the schematics for what I want to share. The lender might have a sheet and schematics in their own environment to talk about interest rates, to talk about what's happening, you know, in the global economy and the local economy. Just be able to, you can come with something super simple and do a very short video, or do a long interview video and just have conversation. If you choose topics that you're comfortable talking about, that you're passionate about, that are in your wheelhouse, oh my gosh, it makes for such a more comfortable environment for you to be just talking, because you're really just talking and you have someone else there on the screen with you. And I find that makes all the difference. So I encourage that as a way to branch out into it. And you can do these right now live from your own homes. Facebook Live now has a feature built into it. I don't know if it's on all of our phones yet. When I last checked, it hadn't made it to mine because they're rolling it out slowly to all billions of us, right? Is the ability to invite someone to your live Facebook, and then it'll look a little bit like you're seeing it here, right? So we can talk about that more if you're interested, but what a great way to get yourself out there, and for a community, your clients, your customers to experience you, and great for referrals too. So this is where I was going to talk about how being on Zoom calls has gotten me to be a little more comfortable. But here's our environment now, right? This is our life right now. And what about, you know, as you're doing videos today, what if you then don't stop doing them, right? What if, when we're released back out into the streets, that you still time block for creating content, meaningful content, coming from contribution to your audience? So that's what I encourage. I want to share a little bit about Zoom in case you don't know these things. If you right click on your name right now, you can actually rename yourself. Like you can see, I've changed mine. So if you're in a Zoom call around the country, I think it's so awesome to be able to say, I'm a realtor and I'm from Chicago. So that if I resonate with you and you're like, oh my gosh, Sam's a badass, I'd love to send her, you know, referrals when the opportunities present themselves, you know that I'm out of Chicago because I've shared it on my screen if you didn't happen to know me beforehand. So I encourage us doing that. You also can, I like to change my name from time to time in little happy hours and put some sarcasm, fun, snarky stuff out there. It's my way to heckle in a Zoom environment in front of everyone instead of putting that comment or a moment in a chat. I like to do it right in my name so that everyone sees it. I know this surprises you, Don. If you have the free version of Zoom, I encourage you considering either paying for yourself or aligning with one of your personal relationships with an accountant or a home warranty company, a lender, for 130 bucks. If you guys went Dutch on paying for a year of it together, you could thank that person who who sponsored your Zoom. If you pay the $14.99 a month or I think it's 130 or 120 and change for the entire year, you can activate in your settings the ability to go live on Facebook. And I know Christine was going to maybe do that today. It's not the perfect system. It's a little bit glitchy sometimes, but what a great way to get the content that we're building right now recorded to Zoom so you can reshare it. And I imagine that's how you'll share it to your YouTube channel. You can also be live on Facebook. And if you're going to do a live interview, what a great place to do it so that you have it to reuse in a number of places in a number of ways, right? We call it repurposing it. Statistically, you're encouraged to do videos as much as possible because you get 3 really big wins out of it. 1, it's a video. 2, you can strip out the audio and now it's an audio like a podcast. 3, you can have the transcript of the video and now you have content for immediate blog use as well, right? Or even just a post on Facebook that is, here's the video, but here's the transcript or a link to the transcript for those of us that are mindful of making noise in public and not listening to a live show or any kind of recording out loud while we're in another environment. You can also now with technology have your video captioned. And I don't know if you've experienced this, but even in Zoom, I'm able to turn on captioning where if it can hear and translate it, it will actually put the captioning right on the screen. How powerful and meaningful is that? I learned yesterday in reading an article that the people that are having some of the most difficult time during this pandemic are our hearing impaired kids, right? So our people who are now, everyone's wearing masks. So the lip readers out there who need to see us and our expressions and read our lips are having a really hard time doing that. So I just plant that seed because I hadn't really thought of that. And it makes complete sense, right? What else did I want to say from Zoom? Yep, change your name, go live. You can also, if you're in an environment like my building, where there are 341 of us now trying to tap into the same Wi-Fi, that bandwidth, we're all tapping into it. You can change the quality of the video as you're seeing it if you want to conserve some of that bandwidth. So just a little nugget, little takeaway. So if you're going to do videos, here are some of the thoughts around it, right? Do something that's instructional, be informative, do some kind of celebration, do something from the heart, right? If, as an example, and I love this idea of taking stuff offline, right? So if someone posted they had just lost their grandma and you can relate to that, maybe create a personal video that it just goes directly to them. But instead of, sending them just a text or sending them flowers that are also going to die, that kind of breaks my heart. I don't like watching them die. Please hold 1 second. While we're doing this, my dog would like to go outside, which is right here. So this is what happens during live Zoom. Sometimes life happens. Are you going outside? Come on. So we call that dramatic pause. Okay. And then she'll need to come back in, but maybe Jen can hear me and we'll grab her at some point. Come from a place that you're comfortable, right? So if it's sarcasm, if it's some funny stuff, if it's really serious stuff, if it's political stuff, whatever resonates with you, I feel like that's your answer. Start from there. Start from a place of willingness. And the way you're going to be willing to do something is it being meaningful to you. In social media, I love Facebook. One of the things that I love about Facebook is this ability to change our cover photos, right? On your business page, I like to share that your cover photo can actually be a video. So on my business page, we will oftentimes have our introduction video We build it such that it fits in that space when it plays quite nicely, so that we sometimes will just trade out that image up there so it's an introduction to our team. For these cover photos, I like this concept of build it once, reuse it every year. Like I honor the passing of my younger brother who took his own life in 2008. And then every year I honor him on his birthday and the day that he passed. I happen to have another buddy who's same thing, also suicide. We're all impacted by that in one way or another. I have holiday ones like Memorial Day. You can only imagine, you know, Green Beer Day. The one on the upper left is about suicide prevention. And so on the cup, it says it's okay to not be okay. And so I like to use my Facebook covers as a little window into me a little more personally, right? So for sure you see what I'm posting if you're following my feed, but if you go to my page, I like that to be just one other way, a place for us for self-expression. I have business related ones, of course, but I change these quite often just because I find it to be meaningful and I enjoy doing it. So as an example, in the upper right-hand corner, it's one of my favorite photos of all times. It's me. My sister is actually in the background with the guy. He's our coach. We volunteered to fight each other, to beat each other up. It was so fun. If you ever get that opportunity, please do it. Especially if you love your sibling. So Bridget and I are super good buddies. We have a special hashtag called Sister Friends because we, you know, have this passionate love for each other. So she's a lender, lives in Florida, ironically. You're over here. I love that I'm pointing because your faces are over here. I'm pointing over here. So she lives by Cocoa Beach, if you're familiar, and she's a lender out there. And so it was, you know, realtor versus lender, sister versus sister. In the photo, you can see clearly who the winner is, not to brag or anything, but most importantly, who's with me in my corner: Dina Zimmerman, who's women's counsel and a commercial agent, and Kelly Price, who's my go-to lender here in Chicago. So my women's counsel ladies, my business partners in industry were in my corner, and it's just one of my most favorite images and moments with them too. Underneath that one is a great women's counsel example. So when we put on events, I will oftentimes create one for a cover photo for the event page, for broadcasting, but why not incorporate it into your own too if you're passionate about sharing what you're up to in our council, right? So this is an older one from my Chicago leadership days. And we every year for a long time would host an event that was called Are You Man Enough to Join Women's Council? Come on, Pixie. Hey. Come on, we're in class. All right, one more mini delay, and that's, of course, if you have dogs, you recognize that this is the treat portion of the demonstration. Okay. And how spoiled am I that our balcony door is right here to my left, and we have trays of sod for our furry little friends. So it's as if they're just going out into their yard. It's quite fantastic on the 10th floor. So back to the bottom photo. So we have we would do for a long time, Are You Man Enough? Because we wanted to continue to express that women's council is open to men, open to women. Of course, we're never going to change our name. We would get that question all the time. Well, you're open to men now. Won't you change your name? No, for clear, beautiful, important, historic reasons, we're never going to change the name of the Women's Council of Realtors. Let's face it. And we want to encourage the male involvement and inclusion. So we would have an all-male panel, top producers, sharing with us, you know, their history, experience, their learnings along the way. And then over time, we started to merge an all-female and all-male panel into the Clash of the Titans, where we would then have, you know, a blend of humanity up on the stage, just to continue to encourage this idea of inclusion. So use those Facebook covers however you feel. I like to use for historic days, touching messages, personal experiences, of course, holidays. Be genuine, be human, create them in ways that they can be reused. If you are a Canva fan like I am, one of the main reasons that I paid for the premium feature is the ability to have whatever I've designed be resized into any other shape and size I need. So I can do a personal Facebook cover. I can then have that resized to a Facebook event, and then you just tweak it, right? So it's gonna put that content into the different size, and then you oftentimes want to tweak it to fit within that space the way visually is pleasing. But once you've created it once, you've got this ability to go in, make little edits, and reuse it again over time. Super powerful. I love it. So we're on number 7, 47 minutes in, just as an example. We'll talk about the Flasks, just one. Yes.
Sam, just real quick, this is Christine. We are at 11:51 here, and I think everybody is probably loving this presentation. Can I see some nodded heads? Yes, okay, so if we run over the hour, is everybody willing to stay on? I don't know how much longer you have, and there may be some questions afterwards as well. Is everybody cool to run over a bit?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, I'll say this, if you have to leave, it's recorded. And I'll also say, I'll take some responsibility here because the presentation by design is an hour and a half.
Okay, well, I'm good. So
yeah,
yes,
I'm just
everybody,
saying
if you need to leave and to go to your next meeting or call, that's totally understandable. Do so. This is, as Sam said, it is being recorded and it will be available. But if you can hang out, hang out. Thanks, Sam.
Yeah,
Keep going.
You bet. Yeah, if you have to leave, I won't even know because I can't see you go. And know that you can reach out to me at any time for anything as well. I love sharing and I love being a resource. But I'll take some ownership that perhaps I didn't communicate enough that an hour and a half is ideal, and a little bit more for question and answers. So let's get back into this for you. And I start to speed up in these slides just organically because of the content and because it's a flavor of the content, right? So we've already talked about the Flasks in some respects, but where I want to go with this is I think they're great for referrals. I think they're great for closing gifts. I think they're great to show appreciation to people. I got a lead from a past client, and I sent him, my flask, my 750 milliliter etched flask. And he was a little bit taken aback. He was just like, Sam, I don't drink. And I didn't know he didn't drink, but it didn't matter to me. My wife doesn't drink a drop. I get it. No judgment here. And so I simply said to him, dude, you can put 750 milliliters of anything in there. Water. Shit, don't put anything in there. Just put it on your desk at work so that when people approach you about it, you can say, yeah, that's my girl. That's my realtor. I sent her referrals. Okay, right? So just a nugget. There's no wrong answer for giving someone a gift and helping them appreciate it in a meaningful way. So over time, I've never been a real fan of closing gifts per se. And I mean it like this. In what other career do we feel obligated to give a gift for having done our job? So early on, I was a little bit like aghast at people feeling some kind of way if I didn't give them a gift after closing or at closing. And so the way that I worked through it for myself was I created a gift certificate back in the day when I was touching paper, Sam Powell paperless. And at closing, I would slide over this really cool custom, envelope, and it would be a certificate that basically stated, listen, once you've settled into your new place, reach out to me and let's get a meal on our schedules together. And I would allow them to host a party in their house where I could contribute the meal. We could cook together in their house to enjoy their new kitchen. We could go to a restaurant that they fell in love with that is in the neighborhood that they're in. We go to a place that they've never been to that they want to experience, or we can go back to the neighborhood that they left because they want to enjoy that experience again, right? The real win, the real takeaway in that closing gift is getting that face-to-face time, having the opportunity to ask them to share their experience. If they haven't given you a testimonial, a reminder to ask them to do that. To ask for referrals, to remind them that you're not just a resource for real estate, but that you're happy to be a resource for anything, plumbers, contractors, doesn't matter. I like people to think of me as a go-to, like their Google, because if I don't have an immediate resource, I am happy to seek one out that's been vetted by amazing peers of my own, add them to my arsenal, and then share them with the person that had asked for them. So I like this idea. As a way to continue to embrace that relationship post-closing. And I've gotten some of the best feedback from doing it that way. And it feels more real to me. And I know this is being recorded, but we're human beings. So there's this layer to it as well, right? So let's say I had sort of a bad experience with a consumer, and we're never able to align schedules for a post-closing celebration, right? One way to work around it, I'm not available. you don't end up meeting with them. The kids that you absolutely love working with, you are not going to hesitate getting in front of them again to enhance that relationship, right? So that's where my focus is with those raving fans, with the really amazing human beings that I had a great time with, that I want to be in relationship with. I want it to be a little more organic and authentic in that way, if that makes sense. Not every experience is going to be a good experience. So this moment right here, this slide that is sitting in front of you, is one of the reasons that I created this presentation, is one of the reasons that I am now better at my craft. I'm a better realtor, I'm a better human being, because this moment came in my social media feed. Former client of mine happens to just post this photo of him and his daughter. You know, it's a selfie. He's in his car. He stopped at a stop sign. Don't sweat it. Don't pick on the guy. And he's doing this photo, and it's basically like, this is my life, you know? And his daughter's losing it in the backseat, as you can clearly see. So it was at that moment in time that I was just like, I found it. I figured out how to stay in touch with the people in my feed, my humanity, my slice of humanity. I clicked and click and hold on my phone. I saved that image down into my photos, and I'm like, I need to do something with this image. What am I going to do with this image? That's where the fun challenge, the brainstorm came from. I simply went to the apps on my phone and searched for, in the App Store, postcards. I knew there had to be an app out there. I'm already in the paperless Sammy stage at this point. I'm like, there has to be an app out there that will allow me to bring a photo in and have a third-party company print it out, mail it to my client, and it end up in their hands with Sam Powell not having to touch paper, right? That's my cheat. Sure enough, there are many, 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 many applications out there that do exactly that. So now that's my jam. I try to do 5 a day intentional interactions with humanity that I love. And I also love this organic stuff that happens in our feed that we can enjoy in this online experience, and we can absolutely take offline. That's my biggest message for all of us. Take it offline, use it as a tool to enhance, embrace, encourage, grow a relationship. So I send him the postcard. Of course, I brought it into another app first, add some text overlay, something snarky, sarcastic. I know you'd be surprised by that. And it was something like, please save this photo and show it to her, you know, future husband, wife, significant other, you know, bring it to her wedding, do something fun with it. And so this is what then happens. It shows up at his house. He puts it on the fridge at her height. He takes a photo, posts on social media, hey, Sam Powell, look what came in the mail today. I love this so much. And his daughter really enjoyed it too, right? So that planted the seed. And from that moment forward, I'm off to the races running. I've now found the thing. My background also coincidentally happens to be photography, passionate about sort of documentary photography, and spent a lot of time doing historical image restoration. So if you ever wondered how I got to be in love with technology and computers, that's how it happened. So now as things show up in my feed, I am impulsive. I like the organic, raw, authentic feel for what's happening in front of us, and then doing something meaningful with it, right? So if you're already doing some of that, you know, awesome. Share with us what you're doing. If you're not doing some of that, what a sort of beautiful way to incorporate it. So here's Dina Zimmerman again. This is her dog, Tyson. This is moments before she ends up having to put Tyson down. So she sends me a text message with this photograph, and immediately I'm like, I know exactly what I'm going to do with this. So I saved that photo, and then I went to her social media and found 2 more photos because I wanted to share with her. She has another dog. So I wanted to make sure what I was gifting to her included a sentimental passing of Tyson, sentimental, you know, love and admiration for Rocco, who's still with her, and just a third sort of fun photo. So what I did for her was same thing. I downloaded an app that allowed me to upload 3 photos and pick the size of the canvas that they would be printed on, and have them drop shipped, mailed directly to her, right? So you can see the image, here's 2 of the 3 anyway. This is in her foyer. So you walk in her front door, and this is immediately to your left. So she's got Tyson, and then she's a big yoga kid, all about being centered and self-care. And so this is one of my favorite moments of her in a post that she posted on social media, and the fun socks that she's wearing. Such a fun story, super quick. The guy on the socks is Tommy Choi, if you've heard his name. He was our 2019 Chicago Association of Realtors president here locally. He's a super mega top producer for Keller Williams here in the Chicagoland market, an amazing human being. And for his installation as our president of our association, we ran a campaign that he knew nothing about. Me and the kids on the committee reached out to all of the people that he had relationship with in Facebook. And we offered them, if they donated a certain amount to his campaign, to his party, right, that we would send them a pair of these socks with the restriction that they can share with no one these socks until the day of his installation. So you can only imagine sort of how fun and awesome that was. And the socks relates to another story that we're going to go into in a hot second. So just another example of meaningful touches and what you can do with them. This little guy, his name is Grayson. He was a micro preemie, and he was my first introduction to what a micro preemie is. I had no idea. I knew they were preemies, right? Babies that were born early. He was born the super early on the spectrum, called a micro preemie. His family started a blog, a Facebook private page for other families with micro preemies, so they could share their journey and their experience with this little guy. It's not this photo, but this is such a powerful, amazing moment of a photo of this little guy's life. There's another photo that you're going to see in a couple of minutes where it's his tiny little hand and his mom holding his tiny little hand with, like, it's just his finger, you know what I mean? So as soon as that moment hit my Facebook, I was like, so this is not the photo, by the way, but another sort of cute, touching, what a cute little smile the little guy has. I knew as soon as the photo crossed my screen that I had to do something with it. And I also knew that it was at such a tender, scary time that there's no way I was going to do something with that moment immediately, that I wanted to make sure that he was going to be a survivor, that it was going to be a beautiful, touching, happy celebration when I did something with the photograph. And so I just held on to it. And I like to share that story because I'm so impulsive that I really surprised myself that I was willing to be that patient and be that mindful about it. So there was some growth there. Thanks for being a part of that with me. I often get asked, like, as an example, what applications do I use for like text overlay? And what I want to say is there are so many. There's no one right answer. And these days I would use something like Canva. When I built this slide deck some time ago, I still like to use this example of don't use what I'm using. Find the one that works for you, that is intuitive, that you're comfortable banging on, because then you'll actually use it. If it's frustrating and you're only using it because I said to use it, but if the application makes no sense to you, then that's just silly. Don't do that, right? So this is the moment. This is the photograph of the mom and her finger in his little hand. And I just fell in love with it so much. I also loved that as a family, they created a logo for him. So he's Grayson. This is his little Super G logo that they had a buddy created for them as a gift. Grayson's father, his name is Brian Heilig. You know, the Real Estate Connection. He was my real estate broker here in Chicago many years ago. And then he moved to Mexico. They were actually in Mexico when the little guy was born. And they ended up having him airlifted to Florida, of all places. And they currently reside in Florida. I think somewhere between my sister and Orlando. They're like kind of right in the middle. So another Florida connection. How ironic, right? So I, of course, saved down the logo. I knew I was going to want to use it in the image when I created it. There was a company at the time. The company still exists. It's called Yo Shirt. And when they first started, they only offered a t-shirt, and that's why it was called Yo Shirt. And now over time, of course, they've evolved to enhance and offer other products like socks. There are socks on here, which I think is super awesome. And so I brought the photo into an application, had his family created that Facebook page, and it's called Eat, Sleep, Poop, and Grow, because they're like, every day, Grayson, we need you to do these 4 things. You have 4 responsibilities. That's it. These are the 4 things you need to do. And so that's what I had put on his little zippy bag, and I had it drop shipped to him. And what I find kind of interesting and ironic about this is, of course, this is the photograph. He's a year old when I had this sent to him, because he's made it. He's healthy. The family is super happy. They actually have another son now to join the collection, who was born at a normal, healthy baby weight. So Grayson, this comes in the mail, and what shows up on Facebook is, because remember, it comes full circle, is this photo. And in the post, they basically said, this is super awesome. We have no idea who sent it to us, so could you kindly reveal yourself? So just a behind the scenes lesson, you have no idea how whatever you're going to send to someone makes it to them. And I'm not saying you have to put your brand on it, or oftentimes there's a way to insert a little message or something. I encourage you to do that just so they know who it comes from, because they want to come back from a place of gratitude. You can see the thing cost me all of $13, right? So super worthy gift. I thought the mom would put it in her purse and keep makeup in it or something. No, she gave it right to Grayson and was like, this is for you, you know, use it however you will. So he puts his toys in it when they go out and stuff. One of my favorite things to do in my 5 touches a day is, I'm a huge fan of send out cards. And the reason I'm a huge fan is I was an early adopter, where they would take money out every month, and then I would never send anybody anything because I was send out cards like one of the original groupies. And I had the best of intentions, but I wasn't passionate about it. It didn't resonate with me. I couldn't find my way. And as you can imagine now, oh my gosh, I could probably do 20 a day by just stuff that's showing up in our social media feed. And especially right now during this pandemic, where so many people are hurting and suffering and frustrated, and moments of happiness, of course, but what great ways and reasons to reach out and touch people. I also am a huge fan of my own handwriting. And so send out cards allowed me to have my own font. So when I am sending something to someone, it's actually in my own hand, my own penmanship. Of course, I'm not touching paper. Of course, I like to send mostly postcards because there's less paper used. There isn't an envelope that also has to be opened. With that, however, I can't add a gift, so that's a little bit sad to me. So I use a third-party solution to just send a gift. They just arrive separate and different, no big deal, right? So find whatever works for you. One of my other favorite stories, the first Yo shirt product I ever did was a t-shirt, because that's all they had at the time. And a buddy of mine had a cat that would sleep on her chest. And when the cat passed away, she felt some kind of way, because of course he's not sleeping on her chest anymore and they no longer have the cat. And so I found a photo of her holding her cat, had it put on a tank top and sent to her. So now that's what she wears at night, and the cat is again sleeping on her chest again. So I feel like my message there is the ideas, they're self-generating, right? And then just be clever, creative, mindful. And I think organically they're created for me. There isn't a lot of work involved. I don't have to feel like I have to be creative. So this commercial break is the one that I suggested was going to be coming at some point. And I love these for Zoom calls. When I'm hosting a Zoom call, my personal account, it's this image that is my profile photo in Zoom. So if I turned off my video right now, and I don't think it'll do it here. Let's see. If I stop just my video, let's see what it shows you. It doesn't, because I'm not in my personal account. But when I'm hosting the Zoom, if I turn off my video, you get my QR code. Here's the win. When we're in environments just like this, and I haven't connected, let's say I haven't connected with, hey Bucks mom, I haven't connected with someone, and I'd like to be in relationship with them. I'd like their contact info. I'd like to share my contact info. If any one of you pulled out your cell phone right now and just went to your camera, and without actually taking a picture, just take your phone and bring your camera towards the QR code, and you'll see in mine, it's a yellow box. And as I approach the QR code, it finds the QR code, and then it shares with me a link at the top of my screen. Can you see that there's a link on the top? So the beauty there is, if you, with your camera, grab my QR code, click on the link's going to allow you to immediately add me into your contact management system in your phone, right? And it takes a couple of steps, meaning if you are on an Apple, this is what your experience is going to look like. You'll click on the link that it provides you. You'll wait for the internet connection. You're going to see my face. You're going to see Sam Powell. I'm a realtor out of Chicago. And ironically, you'll see that it matches the way that I've chosen to display my name for you in the Zoom call. If you hit add to contacts, the next thing it's going to prompt you is to allow this tool to be used in your phone. So then you get my name, ways to contact me, every social media portal that I have a relationship with, and how to connect with me. In the upper right-hand corner on this screen is a little share icon that we're familiar with. You have to hit the share icon, and then you select what contact management system you're using on your phone. So you can throw it right into contacts or into Outlook, wherever you manage your contacts, it's going to give you those options. So if I click contacts right now, I am now added into your phone. And somebody else is sending me, they're using a different solution, which I think is super badass. So if you're interested in this technology, of no surprise, there are many solutions out there that offer this. What I love to say, and in other presentations, I've always said, you know, this example, if you were going to leave your home right now to go to the most important networking event you were ever going to go to, and you had a goal for yourself to give away 100 business cards, interact with 100 people, you're nearly to the event and you realize you forgot the GD business cards. Are you going to go back and get your business cards to then come and be late to the event? The answer that you're supposed to say is no, you're not going to go back for the business cards. When you insert the same story and you left your phone at home and you know you're not going to have an opportunity to go back and get your phone before your next appointment, are you going to go back and get your phone and be late to the networking event? The correct answer for most of us is going to be yes, we are. So my solution is this: why not make your business card something that's always in your hand, right? So for a long time, and I've got the newer phone, so I don't have a sticker on the back, but I usually do, and it matches all of my other branding. But since I'm going through a rebranding phase, I'm rebuilding stickers for everything. So, you know, I appreciate your understanding. But I will share, and this is one of my favorite things, is my lock screen, right? So if my phone is locked, if I touch my phone, guess what I lied to you, but not on purpose. My home screen, you know, my screensaver background screen is my QR code. My lock screen that you may have seen as a sneaky trick is my puppy, right? So I can see my puppy at all times. You could make that lock screen your QR code. And I did for a long time, which is why I sort of stumbled through that. But what I found was, you know, my phone would fall asleep a little too often when I was trying to share with someone how to, you know, take their camera and find my QR code. So I found making it the home screen instead was a lot smarter, works a little better for me. So now anywhere in an environment, I can walk up to you, Christine, and be like, hey, I'd love to exchange contact info with you. And I will either, it's me, so I'll often be like, unlock your phone and let me see it. Open your camera and let me have your phone. And then I'm like, it's a trust fall. Thanks for your phone. And then I walk through the quick and dirty steps, and now I've added myself to their contacts, and then I give them their phone back. I also like to demonstrate like how easy it is to use a technology like this, and what a great moment in time for us to be able to use a technology like this in an environment like this, and we don't miss a beat, right? So if I'm on a Zoom call with Women's Council realtors across the country, and there are women and men that I haven't yet met who we want to exchange information, I will simply say, you know, I'll put this up here or share my screen. Imagine that as a solution, right? If you're not the instructor, but you'd be like, hey, I'd love to share my contact info. Can I share screen? You share your screen, have it be exactly this, and let everyone, you know, take a moment to capture your QR code. I believe it works as a mini as well. I've not experimented with it, but it wouldn't surprise me if it does. I just find that I tend to do it this way. What else was I going to say? The idea behind this technology is, the company I use is called Blue Dot Social. You don't have to write it down. It shows up in one of the last slides. We're happy to put it in the chat as well, anyone who's interested. But they send you a physical card. It's a little thicker, like credit card dimensions and thickness. And the idea is that I should be able to walk up to Christine and her phone, tap my card to the back of her phone, not unlike the Apple Pay technology. It's that same kind of technology. And it's supposed to then give her the link to click on, right? What I have found, however, is it's hit or miss, depending on the age of the phone. The technology, the NFC technology, isn't activated on the phone, or it's clunky. So for me, it's not efficient enough. It's not successful enough of the time that I've changed it so that I just simply go to the QR code. And if someone's camera, because I've had one camera have a really hard time where their technology was an older camera, that it didn't have the QR code technology, doesn't matter. My third solution is I go to my Blue Dot Social app, and it allows me to share the link. And then I just text the person the link, and then they click on the link, and it's as if they got it that way, right? So that's my other little commercial break nugget. Back to number 5. See, we made it to number 5, and we have like 12 minutes left. So I'm going to rush through these, and not because they're not meaningful, but because I know you already get the gist of what I'm trying to share with you about take meaningful, important moments that are happening in the lives of those around you and do something meaningful with it in whatever meaningful way it is to you. I'm not saying you need to go to this Sam Powell extreme, but Joanna Sims was my high school photography teacher, and to this day, still the most influential woman in my life. And so when she passed, I was actually speaking in Utah at the time, and I just loving that story because it's always this Women's Council connection that runs through, that is threaded in my everyday life and existence. So she passes away in the morning. I take the stage at 11 and was going to see her in 2 days. Jen and I were traveling to go see her in Massachusetts in 2 days. So we still made the trip. And as a way to celebrate her and her life, I had a tattoo of her actual autograph from a photograph that's hanging in our condo, so that it was legit her autograph on my photograph of hers, right? And I also had the camera done at the same time to honor her as my photography teacher and my passion for photography. When her husband passed away, one of the things I don't like about our health system is this exact example of Arnie and Joanna. So Arnie had Alzheimer's and was in a residence that had the services to take care of him. When she needed to be in a care facility, they couldn't be in the same care facilities. Her husband, also Henri, awesome human, who got kicked out of facilities because of his Alzheimer's. And so they, at one point in time, she's in Massachusetts and he's in the state of Washington. Like, they almost couldn't be further apart from each other. And he, with his disease, would forget to call her. And if she called him, they'd have to go hunt and find him and remind him that he has a wife and to come take her call, right? So when he passes away, I couldn't help myself. I just knew in an instant what I wanted to do for her, with her. And I had a custom blanket made that was in loving memory of her husband, Arnie, had it sent to her so that every day, all night, she could have the comfort of him with her. So he would lay with her, on her. And of course it's Sam. So when I would see her, I'd be a little, sassy with her about it, that he could be with her always. When she passed away, her family reached out to me and said, would you like the blanket? We'd really love for you to have it if it's something you'd like. And of course, absolutely. I was just like, I want you and your family to keep it. So they did. Also in the previous photo, I just kind of love this moment. Behind Joanna is her daughter. She joined me when I got my tattoo because she wanted to take photos to send to her other 4 siblings. There's 5 of them. I'm fondly known as number 6. She wanted to tease them like, I think Sam loves our mom more than we do because she's getting a tattoo of her autograph on her person, and none of them, of course, have done that. One of the things that I started doing really early on and really love still doing to this day is a wind chime. So if someone in their feed, it's an example is we lost our grandma, in loving memory of our grandma, but they never tell us grandma's name. And I'm totally okay with that, because what I like to do is have a custom wind chime made that says in loving memory of grandma. Because it's not like Joe, who lost his grandma, is calling his grandma Sally, right? You follow that logic? So you don't need any more intel than what is delivered to you. And what a great reason to reach out if you wanted their name, to ask them for their name because you want to honor them in some way. One of my favorite stories with the wind chime, because of course every one of them, everything has a story, is someone's dad passed away, and then the dog passed away, and the dog used to always sit with grandpa outside under this one tree. So I had a custom wind chime made to honor the dog, and the gift came from the dog, and the dog's wish was to have the wind chime hung where her and her grandpa sat under the tree. And so just other touching layers and ways to be mindful and meaningful. So I like to say it like this, and because it resonated with me and was such a game changer for me and the way that I interact with, my slice of humanity, is if you feel touched by something, let that maybe be the trigger to do something meaningful with it, okay? Testimonials, if you are not collecting testimonials, please consider collecting testimonials, because it's such an enriching way to share with the public, to share with your past clients, to share with your world, your peers, and also, let me say, collect testimonials from your peers. If we do a transaction together, ask me for a testimonial. I will ask you for a testimonial. Let's be better at our craft by sharing about each other. It's so much easier for people to post something that says, Christine thinks I'm amazing, than me saying, I think I'm amazing, right? So we don't need to touch into that too much, but if you're not collecting them, collect them. If you also have the opportunity to get a photo of them, or find a photo of theirs on social media, get their permission to post that photo. They've already shared it to the world on social media, but to their niche market, their circle. So get their blessing. Perhaps ask them to do a video. How powerful would that be? I've got a buddy in St. Louis who, after each of his closings, he does a live Facebook interaction with them. And it's him asking them questions about how the transaction went, some of the learnings along the way, some of the struggles. Like, he tries to make it really real, like behind the curtain, here's what happens in a real estate transaction. I will sometimes post a series of things, and I've got, I brand it like behind the scenes in real estate, and I'll share with the world just these other things that we do that people don't realize that we do. If you're featured in something, build a really nice way to display that about yourself. Or in Women's Council, we encourage something like, I would have my state of Illinois post this about me and say, if you get a chance, you can see Sam featured in the blah, 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 right? So you can organically share stuff about yourself to stay in communication and let people know the awesome things that you're about and doing in your world, in your community, in service, etc. And if you're afraid to post something about yourself, there are other ways to have it posted so that you can feel better about it getting out there. So I encourage, self-promotion in a way, but self-promotion in a way that's meaningful. So for me, of course, this is back in 2006. That's like I was 4 years in at this time. And I got to be on the cover of our local Chicago agent magazine. And it was a 2-page spread, me and this other guy, Peter, he's still in the business too. And it's all of my favorite technological gadgets. Can you imagine from that far back in time? And I've seen the article recently, and a lot of the technology hasn't really changed that I've been using in my career. The one thing that kind of went away was the fax scanner printer, because that involves paper and I try not to touch it, right? So they're really truly gifts. A lot of people will do selfies at a closing. I'm not saying not to do those, but I'm saying there are way nicer environments where you could capture a photo with your client sometime during the transaction. Like, I think the final walkthrough is one of the nicest places to capture a photo of them outside the house or in the kitchen, in the nicest space in the house. Capture a really nice moment for them, for yourself. Maybe use that in the testimonial. I made the mistake once of, during a showing, taking a photo of them because we knew we were going to write on the property. We write on the property, and I forget because it was such a long time ago, but the lesson was still there. I forget whether we were in multiple bids and didn't get their dream home, or we were not in multiple bids, but we ended up having to back out of it because of some inspection issues. But what I learned was I don't take photos during that part of the process anymore. I save it for like the final walkthrough for that reason, because oh my gosh, I felt so bad for so long about having this photo of them that I wanted to use. And I felt like karma spanked me and said too soon, right? I also encourage, and this goes back to this idea of creating content, coming from contribution, playing in a community that maybe you love and want to promote. One of my favorite kids out in the world is Nicole Nicklay. Don't know if you're familiar with her. Absolutely look her up. She's a realtor. She's a badass. I see her on speaking networks as well now. So she's getting herself out there. And she's evolved over time. The first thing I ever saw of hers was she would do these birthday videos from the confines of her own home office. She works with her husband. So imagine her husband working in his desk behind her. And she is lip syncing to one of your favorite songs if it's your birthday, and giving you a shout out and wishing you a badass happy birthday. So that's what planted the seed for me to do happy birthday videos. I give her full credit for that. And the idea of bringing someone else into the video, because he'd be back there either not doing anything, or every once in a while you'd see him like just do something, you know, something silly fun back there. But I thought, how awesome. Fast forward many years later, she now has what I think is one of the most robust community relationships. And it started with just one video. So let's say she went to her bike shop, because she also is a triathlon. So she goes to her bike shop. She obviously has a great relationship with the bike shop and says, hey, can I do a video in your store? Can I talk about your store? Can I talk about how much I love you and your product? No is not an answer that they give. So she started doing that all over Livermore, the community that she lives and sells in. And now they even have window clings and stickers, because the storefronts want everyone to know that they are featured on this Love Livermore Facebook page. And what a great way for her to be in community, sharing what she loves and is passionate about. One of my favorite ones, because I don't get to see them all. We can't possibly absorb all the content that's out there. But there was one where she was at her favorite salon and she's talking, and behind her is her husband getting his hair washed because he is getting his salon work done that day. But she's in there and they're creating this experience and these environments and these opportunities to share what's happening in the community that they love. Your favorite pizza shop, your favorite ice cream parlor, anything and everything. And let's face it, right now, I'm pretty sure your favorite places that are for pickup only would perhaps absolutely allow you to maybe do a custom video in there, because no one's in there. And I think they would also absolutely love right now any additional layers of exposure you could possibly get them. Wouldn't you agree? And if I could see your faces, I would see you nodding. Again, I like to take this conversation back to, you know, where's your talent? What are you most known for? Use that as your reason to get in front of humanity in a different way. With, you know, a stagnant post, absolutely. A Canva also now allows you to animate that post, which I think is super awesome and fun. They also have pre-animated ones. So you could use that to draw interest, and anything that has movement gets better SEO, better behind the scenes display through our social media portals. So consider doing things with movement. It doesn't have to be a video of you necessarily. But if I was going to advertise me going live, like a live open house, or if I'm doing a weekly post where it's me interviewing someone in our industry or a peer across the country, I would promote it and then do it and then repurpose it like crazy, right? Just like you're going to do with this video. But I wanted to say, like, one simple cheat would be neighborhood community updates. Like in your MLS, we have the ability to generate a report on any market we want, like a neighborhood community number, or I can draw a square and be like, half-mile radius around, you know, the building that I live in, here's what's happening. If you'd like the same information about a radius around where you live, let me know and I'm happy to create one for you, right? Always a call to action, always some kind of contribution, nugget of value, very important. Those are the sort of the necessities in my idea. We'll both bust through this one pretty quick. Again, I have a passion and a love for using Canva. I think that even if you have a single listing or are working with a single buyer as a newer agent in the industry, that you can absolutely create some really quality visual content that talks about that listing, right? On the buyer side, I always like to share that in my career, not one time, not a single time have I reached out to the listing agent for a transaction that we put under contract and asked, hey, can I use some of your photos to promote that we put this under contract? Never have I gotten a no. They're like, absolutely, because all we're doing is promoting, again, this address that they're the listing agent for, I'm the buyer's agent for, and we both have rights to the information in a way. Seek permission, always do it in writing. I always do it as an email. I always print that email off as a PDF and I save it in the folder with the photos that I've loaded to choose to use for that transaction. So that, God forbid, anyone ever try to spank me for having done that, I've got the documentation to protect myself. Again, even with the buyer side, you could post just one photo instead of 3. You could have a template that is just one photo and you're like, under contract. You could switch out to a different photo and be like, you know, we're at the inspection. You could, you know, clear to close from our lender, different photo. It doesn't, no one's going to recognize necessarily that you're talking about the same listing every time. And I like this for newer agents or agents who have, you know, low inventory. What a great way to still keep putting yourself out there in a meaningful way, reminding people I'm a realtor, call to action, how can I be of service to you, and share with them things that are happening in that transaction that are meaningful and appropriate to share, so that consumers more and more understand what we do behind the scenes as agents, right? Let's see what this commercial break is. We've actually already done this one, but this commercial break was just a reminder of how you can use the QR code. So again, this idea of, I like to share with anyone, anytime I get hold of your phone, if there's anything on your first page, if it's completely covered in icons, I'm not going to be able to help myself but to pick on you and suggest that we have 2 opportunities on our phone for inspiration and content, in my opinion, or functionality. So for me, having the lock screen or the home page screen as my QR code adds a layer of functionality to that. If you have a photo of your significant other or your kids or your pet, but you can't see it to enjoy it because it's covered in icons, my suggestion is scroll to your very last page, move all of those icons over a page, and repeat that until your first screen is completely empty. So that when you unlock your phone and you're on your main page, you can enjoy whatever that moment in time was. And maybe it's inspiration for you, like maybe it's a goal, maybe it's your numbers, you know, like where you are now and a reminder for what you've said you want to accomplish in the next 30 days. So many practical uses for that. And I feel like it's an untapped resource that I like to remind people is there. This again is about the photos. Meaning listing side, buyer side, please, please, please use professional photos, meaning have a professional take the photos of your listings so that you can have those images and they're high quality. The reverse on the buyer side, if the quality of the images is not to par, you know that before you even write on the property because you see those images and you've downloaded that listing sheet, I hope, to put it in your folder. When you do the inspection or a second walkthrough or a reason to get back into the property, take a few of your own photographs. Take a nice photograph of the exterior with your phone. Take a couple of decent shots in the place with your phone and use those images instead. Please don't use stuff that looks like crap because it's your brand, right? And then lastly, not unlike Nicole is doing, get out there in your environment, get out from behind the computer, go out there, get engaged and involved. Join organizations like the Women's Council of Realtors. I've heard, was it Brenda? I forget who it was, but I was on a Zoom call and, oh no, it was a staff from Women's Council of Realtors, like Olivia. She would say at the beginning of any presentation, hey, thanks for joining us here. If you are not a Women's Council member, we have put in the chat a link to feel free to learn a little bit more about us, to join, to become a member, and we encourage you to consider becoming a member with us today. Thank you so much, right? And so just a little nugget to remind ourselves to always be making that ask of those of us that are not members of our council, those of us that are members, but it's time for renewals, etc. Don't be afraid to make that ask and share the value of what you're finding in Women's Council as a reason to maybe draw them back in or draw them in for the first time. I often get asked, how do I do my 5 people a day? And I want to tell you, I'm a super simpleton in that regard. The technology that's already on our computers, I like to use them first before adding a third-party solution. So I obviously built this presentation originally in 2017, and I know that because it's my 2017 sales tab that is highlighted. Every year, I create a new tab in my Excel spreadsheet, and I will simply round robin through all of the people that I've done business with over time. It allows me to update their information. It allows me to learn whether they've sold their place without me, and shame on me for not staying in better touch, right? And this is part of the lesson. One of the reasons I like to teach this class is to constantly remind myself to be doing these things and be doing them at a higher level constantly. It's like back to the basics every year. What could I be doing differently? And for sure, one of those most important ones for me is how do I stay in touch with my clients in a more meaningful way? And then this is my last slide for purposes of presentation, is my favorite app that I can't live without is called Todoist. And it's basically a robust to-do list that allows me to work the way my brain works. So I can reorganize any list in seconds by just dragging and dropping them. I can color code them. I pay for premium, which means I can interact with my team and send them tasks and to-do list items. And we can manage our buyer pool, our seller pool, and be in communication with each other on where those are at by just having them in their own little project, all of our buyers, own little project, all of our sellers. So I just like to throw that out there because people ask me often. So in closing, what I encourage you to do is be inspired, be impulsive, create some time blocking to do some structured stuff, be systematic, for sure, please and always be authentic and come from a place of empathy more now than ever. So while I throw these other two slides up here, if you have an interest in this information, a screenshot from your computer or take a photo, these are some of my favorite places that I use and go to. If you want me to just send this to you, I'm happy to do that too. So just know we can be in contact. But I'm gonna share one more slide just because it's the second slide that's large enough to show you some of my favorite places. And now I want to open it up to questions for those who are able to stick around and stay with us.
Well, thank you, Sam. This has been phenomenal. I've been writing so many notes down, even though I know it's recorded, taking screenshots. But we do have a question from Erica Abreu. Unfortunately, she had to get off the
Sure.
meeting, but
Yep.
she said, excuse me, I found that we have to clean the cookies to do a Facebook Live. Is there another way? I found
No,
sometimes is not going through.
Yeah, I think that is probably the best way to handle that situation, because that's where the hiccup is happening, is it can't get through the clutter to get done what it's trying to get done. So I would say just knowing that that's a solution that works, I would just make it a habit to do that before knowing that I want it to go live on Facebook through Zoom. And eventually, let's face it, they're going to resolve that. So you could probably also bang on Google a little bit and make that ask that, you know, if you are asking that question, there are going to be so many others that have had that same question, and there may be another solution or two out there for that. I have not done enough using Zoom to go live on Facebook myself yet to have curated a solution for you, but that's the way I'd go, is ask Google, but in the meantime, clear your cookies. And I love that, clean out your cookies. And also when you're on Zoom calls, maybe share that in a chat or live to people, because someone else is going to be running into that and not know how to resolve it. So share that forward would be my advice as well.
Okay, great, thank you. We have a question from Patty. Did you mention an app to create the Facebook photo post?
Which Facebook photo post? Just out of curiosity, the one about my listings and buyers? Whoever it is, if you're still live and you want to unmute yourself, let's engage in conversation. Talk to me.
Talk to me. Patty, where are you?
And I will stop sharing screen. I wondered where that went. There we go.
Okay, so Patty, are you still on the line? Unmute, okay. Patty, you are unmuted. Do you want to ask that question with a little bit more clarification?
Hi, yeah, it was something, I see some other participants saying maybe Canva or Canva or Canvas.
Yeah,
Canva.
C-A-N-V-A is absolutely correct. It happens to be my current go-to solution. It's a super robust application that you can do a lot with on the free version, and you can do a lot more with on the paid version. As a mini example, on the paid version, I can have my Women's Council logos right there and on the ready for me. I can have my Women's Council color patches right there on the ready for me, so that when I'm building anything for Women's Council, I've also gone to the extent of uploading the 2 fonts that are used in our logo, the Women's Council National logo, so that in our branding, we're able to sort of match that style a little bit. So that we're representing the brand in its best possible light. Jolie Waldeck out of Las Vegas and myself for National Women's Council of Realtors, we did a training class on Canva that is available for you to download from the national site if you wanted to right now. Also know that Jolie and I are happy to, at no cost to you, through a virtual Zoom experience, we would absolutely do live Canva training for any network that was looking to push out some additional content. So know that you can tap into us. We've done Canva, we've done Pixlr, which is if you know the word Photoshop, right? Which is a super robust imaging editing tool. Pixlr, which I'm going to put in the chat just so you can see it, is hi Powell, is pixlr.com, and it's always going to try and fix it. And so there's my dog, say hi. Our cleaning lady is coming, and so we are about to mass exodus, but not quite yet. So Pixlr, we have a training that we've done on Pixlr that's also available for download. We did that one last Friday. And tomorrow we're doing a presentation called Facebook 2.0. And it's not the normal use of Facebook. It's like, 15 other things that you can do that maybe you aren't doing and using Facebook in these kinds of ways. That also will be recorded by National. So I'm not saying you have to attend it live, but just know that there's content out there if you wanted to host a watch party with your network or tap into any of us. First of all, what I'd encourage is tap into your local talent and get more of us presenting, right? The only reason I'm presenting in front of you like I am now is because early on, I got to present in my local network in a way, right? And then I got to present in other local networks and then on the national environment. But the more we can get each other sharing our talents in this way, the more monsters we're gonna create, like Women's Council created this monster, because you guys pushed me and stretched me and gave me opportunities. And I was willing to bust through the fear that I assure you I had. People always assume I came out of my mom's womb just like this. And I am the first one to tell you that it is so far from the truth. I was the biggest chicken when I started in real estate. When my business cards arrived, I legit was like, why do I even have these? I'm never gonna have the courage to give one of these out to anyone because I have no idea what I'm doing, So it really took baby step successes to snowball into, the person that's before you today. So night and day from 2002 when I started in real estate to what I'm able to do and accomplish today. And it's because of Women's Council and the opportunities that I've been able to have through that journey. So I thank all of you and I thank Women's Council for letting me be me,
Well, you are fantastic. And with regard to that Facebook 2.0 course, the registration is on the national website, just, www.wcr.org, and you'll see along the top menu bar, there's a national events. And if you hit on that, you'll scroll down and say virtual events, and then you'll just see it registered in there and you can just register for that event. It also went out on our Florida weekly newsletter where we were announcing all of the classes, both national is delivering and Florida is delivering as well. So you can, with a direct link to register right through that email.
Nice. Before we close out, I want
Yes.
to also make sure that I would be remiss to mention that the other thing that Jolie and I are super passionate about is creating this concept of a workshop, right? So we've just thrown so much content and opportunity at you to incorporate into your business should you so choose. What we find is people then get this sort of practical, they freeze and they're not real sure how to implement or where to go from there, or no accountability buddy. So one of the things Jolie and I are going to create is this idea every Thursday. We already have a Tuesday and Thursday Zoom that her and I host together called Afternoon Delight, because we're like, just come take a break and be a part of our day for a hot minute. And there's no structure to it. It's just fun. We've had baby goats on last week, Tuesday and Thursday. That was super awesome. So you may have missed that, but that's okay. More to come. So we're going to, on every Thursday, we are going to create a workshop that's specific to a topic. And that also is open forum in a way that, imagine this, because I pay for, can I do breakout rooms? I don't know if I can do breakout rooms. I'll have to look into that. But I like this concept of what if we had a workshop day where me and other talents around the country come and participate in this Zoom. And then let's say my talent is training on Canva. anyone who wants to build some Canva for themselves, we go into this breakout session, or you join us for the Thursday Canva, workshop, where in the room, everyone comes with the project they want to build. And Cindy says, Sam, I'm really struggling with how the hell did you do that you told us how to do? And then she can share her screen. I can ask for permission to access her screen. She give me permission and I can show her, this is how I do it, or here's a couple of different ways you can accomplish the same thing. What an awesome sort of layer to us putting out this content. We feel that the piece that's missing after that is our own follow-up in a way, or creating this very safe space where Cindy can come and be like, I feel like an idiot. I watched your class. You made it look so easy. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. I'm fumbling. And we can get her through that little hump. And then she back to rock star status because she wasn't afraid to make that ask, right?
No, it's a great idea. I love that.
And we also are available for that at any time, right? So you could be like, hey, Sam, can I get 10 minutes of your time? If you pay for Zoom, you automatically get your own private room. So I've done this and it's your last nugget. So I have my, in my settings for my private room, I've changed the, how they give you an access code? Well, it happens to be the same digits as a phone number. So I made it my cell phone number. So I could, in conversation with Christine, say, oh, well, hop on Zoom with me right now. The code is 312-371-7813. And here's the password, which is ask for Sam. I know this surprises you none. I took it one step further, and the link, how it always has that link that you can capture and share. I took that link into tinyurl, which is a custom URL creator. And mine is tinyurl.com/Zoom with Sam. Open 24/7. So if I'm like, Cindy, I really need to see you, I'm gonna need you to hop on my Zoom, I could just text her or tell her, go to tinyurl.com/Zoom with Sam, password ask for Sam, and you're in. And a prime example of how I'm using that is I just had a meeting this morning with one of my sellers at 8 a.m. And that's all I did. In the calendar invite, I said, click on this link. And I hate the long crap links. And so I make custom URLs constantly. And I'm like, here's your link, here's your password, and how beautiful, it's always the same. So I know this will surprise you none. It's a keyboard shortcut in my phone. And I'm an Apple user on everything. And one of the masterful things that I love about this concept is any shortcut I built in my phone, I can legit right now, as an example in the chat, type 3 letters, and the 3 letters are SIG, and it just pasted for you my signature in the chat. I type 3 letters and hit return, and that's what you get. If I type, like I told you, offers. Oops, hi, pal. I have to wait until it says, do you want me to type what I want you to type? There you go. In the word #offers, wait for it to say, is this what you want me to post, Sam Powell? And then I hit return. There you go. It sends the standard of practice. On listings where an unrepresented buyer wants to see the place and they reach out to me because I'm the agent, I have one that says J show. Joe is J. So I will simply type J show and it will say, well, let me show you what it says. Nothing fancy, but it says, please reach out to my business partner, Joe, to view the property. Here's his cell phone number and his email. If you find yourself saying the same thing more than once in a communication, create a template of sorts. There's my alarm for the cleaning lady. In your Outlook, you can create templates, or your email service provider, you can create templates. In your phone, you can create templates. I tend to like to use this key shortcut for this in this way. And it works on any piece of technology that I have because they're all Apple.
Okay, no comments on that, but I do think that the message here is I'm getting 2 messages. Number 1, try to be as efficient as possible. And number 2, brand yourself on everything that you can, which is not only, again, putting your name out there, marketing yourself, but exactly, I see Cindy and Sam doing the same thing, but it's also creating a really great and easy way for your customers to remember. Ask for Sam, ask for Sam, ask for Sam, whatever it is, ask for Sam. Exactly.
And Jolie, my partner in crime on some education that we're doing together and co-hosting, she had this custom flask made for both of us. She made us our own logo. and made us a cup that we use on our Tuesday and Thursday classes together. It's so awesome. How fun.
And nobody knows what's in that.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So you know where to find me if I can ever be a resource ongoing. Thank you so much for putting up with the now 2-hour class. I appreciate you. So now I need to require it be 2 hours. I always ask for an hour and a half, and then depending on who can stay after for conversation. I love leaving that door open because amazing conversations can come out of it.
Yeah, well, thank you, Sam. You have been phenomenal. Tina, do you have a
Tina's
question?
got a question, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious, Sam, how do you get your dog to go outside in 43-degree weather?
Oh, they just are in and out, so they don't care. They're just like, not a problem. Well, and my favorite part about having such convenience, me and my wife both work from home. And the last thing I want is the inconvenience of, we currently are fostering a dog. So there's 3 dogs. And if we're babysitting Dina's dog, we would have 4 dogs. We'd have 20 legs in our house, right? So now I finally tease that we're 16 legs. Is, taking all 3 of them out on the same cycle. They're never going to be on the same cycle. Down the hallway, down 10 flights in the elevator, across the street, because you can't let them do it on our property. Well, you can absolutely let them do it on anyone else's property. It's hysterical. But instead, I can open the door, get them taken care of. My favorite part though is if we're going to go somewhere and do something fun, like right now, we can be like, hey, you want to go for a ride, or you want to go do go with mommy to work, which means we're not going to go to the park or do anything fun. They know we're going to do something cool if we're leaving the house. It's not just to go to the bathroom.
That's funny.
Well, again, thank you, Sam. Always a pleasure, and can't wait to see you in person whenever that shall be. But thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation and learned a lot. This will be, again, posted on our Facebook page as well as YouTube. And as Sam said, and we now all have her contact information, she will make herself ready and available to answer any of your questions. So thank you so much.
And also one last thing, because I told us we need to make the ask. If any of you are willing or interested in writing a testimonial about me as an instructor, I'd love to have that for future opportunities for myself, because I like to share what people think. And also, I'm super open to criticism isn't the word I'm looking for, but ways in which you think that I could enhance or improve on my presentation, any of the ones that you ever see me give, because obviously I know that there's room for improvement, and I'm more than willing to hear it.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks
thought it
for
was
playing.
flawless. Take care, everybody.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See you out there.